Welcome to Karaoke Wine with Jules and Tessa.
Welcome.
Hello.
Karaoke Wine.
Yes.
Before we get started, thank you to Briosa for sponsoring. Very excited. 100 calories, no sugar.
No, I drank a lot this past weekend at an event, and I woke up fine and dandy.
Right?
No hangover.
No hangover. Pilates is still welcome in the morning.
Yeah.
So, cheers.
So good.
Yum.
Okay, so this topic,
It's a good one.
it's a good one, and it was like a shocker to me. So I was to a friend, and their kids are getting ready to go to college, and they were having conversations with the other parents about certain schools and the percentages of these girls being on a certain website.
So it's scholarships from the gentleman, essentially.
Yes. I knew about this website, Seeking Arrangements.
Yes.
Yes.
Same.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I knew about it being if you want a sugar daddy.
Yeah.
And it's like it's an arrangement.
Yes.
I did not know that it hit college campuses.
Neither did I. And I think that was part of the conversation that we had the other night was when we knew about it, just FYI, I've never actually gone on a date from the website, but I was in my early 20s. I had just moved to Chicago. And when I tell you the men that were on there, from my perspective, it was like 80.
Old.
Yes. Like Crypt Keeper moment.
You know, I love a good oldie.
Yes. This was
But not this.
This wasn't an elder. This was one breath away from its last.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was interesting when we were talking about it, because I remember it. I didn't realize that it fell into the college category. So why don't you give us some insight on what you found? Because it's very interesting to me.
Yeah. So doing research, and our friend Kyle, because I was telling him what we were doing.
Yes.
He was like, look at you being an investigative reporter. And I was like, oh, is that what we are?
Yes, we are. We did interviews and everything. Like, we're on it.
Yes. Okay, so Seeking Arrangements,
Yes.
obviously is this website. Now, they have this Sugar Baby University. SBU is their acronym. And you have to have...
So a little too close to SVU.
Well, we are going to get into
We
the
are gonna get into
predatory
it, but
aspect of this. Yes. So SBU is the acronym, and they were giving out, and I don't know if they are still giving this out, but all the data that I found is
Yes.
between like 2013 and 2020. But if you had a college email, they were giving out free memberships. And so I found this article through the Harvard Crimson, and they did an article back in 2019. The article itself mentions that at the time, in 2019, the site had a student debt clock. And I'm quoting the writer. The company whips up fear. Then they offer a way out. They have a join button with the words, quote unquote, college sugar babies receive an average of $3,000 a month. Don't waste precious study hours at a minimum wage job. Join now. I thought this was really interesting because being in Miami at the time that I went to college, I was very naive. I came from a small country town,
Mm-hmm.
and Miami was already a booming party city. And that was when I was introduced to the nightlife.
Right.
And I was introduced to escorts and hookers and all the things.
Yeah.
They exist. It's a real thing.
Absolutely. And that in the adult industry, and some disclaimers before we jump into it, because Jules and I, as you know, are very promoting of sexuality and what you want to do for yourself, as long as you're not hurting yourself or hurting others, right? Like, let your freak flag fly.
Yeah.
This is zero judgment. So the beginning of this conversation is going to be solely based on this university tactic. To Jules's point, she mentioned she grew up in a small town. Same with me. One of the things that I started to think about as we were talking about this is people who don't come from money, that don't know the value of a dollar, or maybe weren't guided in the best moral compass of their life at this young, impressionable age, it could be very easily misconstrued getting your tuition covered in this way, thinking
it's an easy way.
It's an easy way, or not even that, but, you know, what type of man is on here saying, I want the 18 to 21-year-old woman to take care of? Like, that's a child in my eyes now. Granted, because this is something we talked about and we can get into it a little bit more, Jules and I have always hung out with people that are older than us. Even when we were younger, this is not something that I would have done personally at that age, because my mom was like, people are always trying to take advantage of you. So I was brought up to be like anti, like, have people pay for things for you. Like, you have to make your like mark on the world.
God, I'm still like that.
It. Yes.
I'm still struggling with people trying to help me.
Just let him buy you a coffee. Just let him buy you a fucking coffee.
Wow.
So that's something that we also want to unpack too. But
we're also coming from an older perspective now, like
that have nieces.
We have nieces, and we have friends that have kids that are going into college. So we're coming from a very different perspective. We also are coming from a life lived, and we know what's out there.
Yes.
It's like the big bad wolf does exist.
He's real.
And I think that this sugar baby college experience is a very slippery slope.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're over 18. They can decide what they want to do. I just don't think kids nowadays, because I didn't think ahead of time.
Me neither.
And we only had Facebook at the time. And,
yeah.
And my mom would be like, stop posting everything. Like, you don't know, you know, like a job interview down the road is going to come about, you know? And I don't think that they think about the repercussions of what could happen down the road. And I think it's like, I hate to say the word soul crushing, but there has to be some sort of, when you do stuff like this, it does chip away at your soul a little bit.
Well, I think too, if you are going to do something like this, regardless of what age you are, you have to be so self-aware. You have to know exactly who you are and understand what the arrangement is, because this could easily warp your sense of dating, sense of self, sense of everything that you want to accomplish. If I went into this at that age and had tuition paid for me with the brain that I have now, it would have been a business transaction, right? However, when people are providing something, typically an expectation of service is also there. So what would that look like? And that's just not something that I'm willing to get into. Like, you know, an expectation, you took me to this really nice dinner. I had no idea that you could be wined and dined like this. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, come to my house for a nightcap. Like, that can happen on any dating website. However, the main precedence of this website is an arrangement, is an exchange of something from both parties.
I agree. And to play devil's advocate, is what if a girl says, well, you're doing the same thing I'm doing, but you're doing it for free and I'm getting something out of it. What I actually need and want is a really good higher education being paid for.
Yeah.
I totally get it. There was a show a couple years ago called The Girlfriend Experience.
That's right. Yes.
And she was a full-blown escort paying her way through medical school. I think it was medical school. Don't quote me on that. But it was about her life and how she was meeting these high net worth individuals and she was paying for college, but she also had a real job. And through that, I think, I haven't watched the show, I think they found out about it and she got fired. But
Yeah.
that's also a consequence of doing something that might not be on the, company morale train.
That's very true. And then you have to take it a step further, right? If we're doing this through this website, we already know what the expectation is. Is that different than, let's say, working at an adult club or profiling yourself on a different website specifically as this person who is an escort, right? Because I think a lot of the websites for escorts is there's obviously the underlying, like, yes, you sleep with the person afterwards. However, I think how they promote escorting is this person can be arm candy on your arm. So like it's implied sex at the end, right?
Yes, I do have to say in the website, though, they do have escort disclaimers.
They do.
So let me read some of them. And so the Seeking Arrangement website hosts a disclaimer which states the following: an arrangement is not an escort service. Seeking Arrangement in no way, shape, or form supports escorts or prostitutes using our website for personal gain. Profiles suspect of this usage will be addressed by the Seeking Arrangement misconduct team and banned from our website. So, yeah. But I think it's a slippery slope, to be honest. And I think it's like, well, did you smoke pot? No, I didn't inhale.
Yeah. It is a slippery slope. I think anything in dating is a slippery slope, right? The one thing, and this is coming from my experience of dating and what I've seen lately, is I think for an older person who knows exactly what they're looking for would be okay on this app, depending on what that is, what you are looking to get out of a relationship. Because even when we were going through profiles, right? Mm-hmm. There was this aspect of people at the bottom disclaiming, like, this is not for anybody else. I've never seen more descriptive what they want in bios from men on any other platform. It's actually,
I was impressed.
Yeah. So was I. I was like, okay, so this, like, they're putting thought into this because these men are like, it can turn into something more. Or there was another guy who was like, I just want short term. It's never going to be long term.
But I think it's also very descriptive because it's an arrangement.
Right.
And when you always go into a business agreement, that shit is
ironclad.
Yeah, ironclad. You always have the words. You got it.
I got you. Contract law.
And I think there's a difference between meeting someone outside organically and you guys have a large age gap. And I'm speaking about myself personally. I met my ex organically out, and it was a chemistry that turned into a connection.
Ooh, that went to commitment.
Yes. But he wasn't seeking me out, and he wasn't seeking out a specific age group.
Right. That is a very valid point, because I myself, when I was 19 years old, was with a 39-year-old. Mm-hmm. I didn't see anything wrong with it. I knew who he was. Looking back now, I'm like, okay, it depends on where you're at. Your emotional intelligence is as a person that's young, right? Or as old. So I think you kind of meet in the middle with that, depending on where your EQ is at. But one of the things that's interesting to me is this university platform for these girls, right? These are men who are typically, I would say the average age that we saw last night was probably like 55.
Yeah, I mean, there was even some that were like 30s and 40s.
Right.
They're not ugly.
No.
There was
good-looking guys. Yeah. I think the predatory behavior that we talked about is when you're looking at more of these 60 plus wanting to sponsor these girls at 19.
Yeah.
That to me is somebody who has lived a life taking advantage of somebody who has not. And that's where I think the grooming would come into place.
Yeah.
That I would not be comfortable with.
Yeah. I also saw on Instagram that younger women are more, they want to date older guys because the younger guys are just not intelligent enough
Yeah.
in the emotional aspect of it. They are very wishy-washy. The modern dating is playing the games. And women don't like that at any age. So I think that there is an aspect of like, where would I find an older guy to check all my boxes? Maybe this is the website. The only problem that I had was the marketing tactics of this specific company to the specific demographic,
which was rough.
Like if I'm a mom, like I would be freaking out right now.
Well, even speak to the platform. She said it earlier, has like the average debt collection, right? So like right there, it's showing
and it was growing.
It was
so
growing
like
as they were watching.
If you're
it.
20 years old and you're a student and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to be in so much debt. Like this is my way out. Yeah, it's enticing for sure. For sure. 100%. I get it. I get it.
So do I. Listen, we grew up scrappy, meaning we had to work and fight for everything that we both have, which I love about us, honestly. I don't know how to say honestly. Obviously is what I meant to say. Avi, I think that you're never, it's hard, right? Because I didn't do something like that, but I do know people who did certain aspects in that type of industry, not in the escort or the prostitution industry, but in sex work in general, who put themselves through school. I know a couple of people who did that. And, you know, when I've talked to them about it, there are some scary situations that they unfortunately were involved in. They're okay now. It's the day and age that we're in now. This is like 20 years ago. But these are sex
workers that this is their profession.
Right. It's their profession.
This is not their profession.
Right.
And this Harvard Crimson article made it very clear that these girls are just nonchalantly talking about being a sugar baby because it's like so popular nowadays that it's like, oh, yeah, of course. Like he pays for my apartment and he pays for this. What they don't tell you is what they did for it.
Right.
And escorts and porn stars, and I have, a couple friends in the industry or now retired. They were very open, honest. Like, this is what I do.
Yeah.
Like, I go to work and I shoot, and then I come home and I have my own, my own real life. But there's screenings, there's background checks, there's safety protocols when you're in that industry.
Right.
I'm not talking about prostitution, like being on the street and like taking a random stranger in the car. That's dangerous as hell. But we're talking about these websites that are specific to
escorts.
Us.
Like you have to get screened first. The one thing about seeking.com, which is the adult version of it's not the SBU one.
Yeah.
Is they have multiple forms of verification. We'll get into that.
We couldn't actually go on SBU because we do not have a college email.
We don't have a college email. So I delivered the team and created a profile. Thank you, ChatGPT, for helping me with everything.
Yeah.
I think there's two things that I really want to ensure that we don't miss based on our conversation last night. First one, and you hit on this a little bit, is everything that you put out on the internet as of today will always come back and get you. We grew up in, I think, the best era where we were taught to never put anything in writing. And social media became a thing after we reached the young adult age. And we had already gone through trials and tribulations to understand exactly what the don't put anything in writing meant. Yeah. Because when I was younger, like if we grew up in the social media age where you were posting everything, we used to go out in our work clothes and post all 725 photos, even of the ground, right? Like that was like, oh my God, this was fun.
You did it.
Crazy. The second thing that I want to talk on, because I thought this was very interesting, is, and you can expand on it since you were the one that actually went through the whole article with me. We were discussing it. Colleges are ranked.
Yes.
With this website.
Yes. So part of their marketing tactic is to put the colleges that have the highest percentages of people being a sugar baby on that campus. So the girls feel comfortable and like going, well, everyone's doing it.
So I can do it too.
Yeah. And it normalizes it.
And you know what, though? I think that's why we didn't know about this version.
Yeah, because we're too old.
We're too old. And the only reason this came up is because, we have friends in Marathon, Florida that have 2 girls who are going off to college next year. We have other friends here that have girls going off to college next year. So this is a really hot topic right now with parents that wouldn't normally pass our radar.
Yeah. And I was shocked. Like my jaw dropped to the floor and I was like, I'm sorry, what? I thought that was a thing for like, older, not older, but like out of college. And I don't know.
Well,
it just wasn't a thing.
Well, we had like Anna Nicole Smith too. We had Playmates.
Yeah, I mean, she
The Girls Next Door. We had that growing up. There's too much now that as a society that people are okay with.
I said it last night and I wrote it down because it was, I do come up with good stuff sometimes.
I wasn't going to take your thunder. I almost did, but I
appreciate you. I love you. I know. So I said society on social media is over-sexualized and we are desensitized. Because I brought up the whole Britney Spears when she was in that naked looking bodysuit at the VMAs. And there was a whole uproar of parents that were like, oh my God, she's dancing naked. She wasn't naked.
No.
But now people are actually naked dancing on the stages and like we don't even blink an eye. We're like, oh, there goes so-and-so twerking on the stage again, butt ass naked.
Right. It's interesting. It is a thing. Because it's interesting to me that we immediately led with our own experiences when we were doing this research. Mm-hmm. And we've known some pretty not great things that have happened to people. We've experienced things ourselves that have not been that great. And it just seemed like you're taking a very vulnerable young person, whether male or female, and you're putting them in this position where they're not going to be able to say no because they're going to think that they owe you something, because
it's just a leverage. It's a power dynamic. It's an older person.
Yes.
And the older person does not need the money. The younger person needs the money. Yeah. So they're going to be like, hey, I need to pay rent. I need to buy my books. And books are not cheap.
Right.
They weren't cheap when I went to college.
No.
So I get the whole fear tactic that they do. I understand what the college students are going through. I had to get financial aid. I'm still paying for my college, guys. I am not going to be done with my student loans until I'm 41, maybe. I get it. When my college sends me
15 years from now.
Yes. No, but when my college sends me like the alumni, hey, let's get a check. I'm like, no, I'm still paying you off from like 2003.
Right. Hold your horses.
I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah. But we also talked about sorry to cut you off, but the verification aspect.
Yes. Okay. So this is something where we can transition into more of the adult platform because, as I mentioned, I created a profile so we could really understand the website a little bit more. And on top of the disclaimer from the dating app itself and from the individuals posting, there are different verification processes. So there's certain levels of membership that you can do. If you are the highest membership as a sugar daddy, let's just call them for sake of argument right now, they can be verified multiple different ways. With a selfie, just like a true dating app, you can also do it through like your LinkedIn, your social medias, your Instagram. The biggest one was the net worth, though, because one of the gentlemen that we fell on, the net worth was $50 million, right? And
I mean, God bless if he really does have that $50 million.
And we read through his profile and it was fine. But then we looked at his photos and 2 of them looked very consistent with who he was. 2 of them did not. And my biggest thing was like, okay, so his profile is fine. There wasn't anything like shocking about it. He was an okay looking man too. Like nothing. Yeah. It was just just your quintessential kid from the Midwest.
Yeah. No, this guy was Italian, the one that said 50 million.
Oh, wait, what? Oh, he was young too. Actually, that was another thing is he was young.
He was like young.
27, right?
Yeah, he was young, Italian.
36, actually. I think he was.
Just moved to wherever city. And he was like, I just want some girls to have fun with.
Just some girls to have fun with, no strings attached.
Yeah.
And he had only one of the verifications. So you have to at least do your selfie verification to create a profile. And that was the only verification he had. And then I guess they just put in their net worth. In order for their net worth to be verified, it's their bank account, right? Was that what it was?
Yeah. You actually, the member pays a premium membership.
Right.
And in that premium membership, your income does get verified. And in doing so, you get bumped up to like the top of the page every single time someone searches.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting thing is, because we looked at these profiles and we were looking at these net worths, you know, there were some people on there, 400,000. It was just like your annual salary. When we Googled, this was funny. The average net worth
Of these sugar daddies.
It
was like, what was it, like 160,000 or something?
160,000 was like the
No
top.
sugar daddy is making that little. And $160,000 is not, okay, let me rephrase that.
Yes.
$160,000 is a good chunk of change.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good chunk of change for being a sugar daddy, because you and I know how much it costs to be single and look alive. That don't cover two people.
No.
Unless you're living in the Midwest.
Well, no, not even in the Midwest. Like, not in this day and age. I mean, that's like Podunk town, like Iowa in the cornfields.
Yeah.
Maybe you could make
There's
that
no
much
way.
money. But it's not sustainable. No. And part of the luxury experience that they promote on this website is the fine dining, the travel. Like, the guys can even say, I don't want to that one guy. He's like, I don't want to plan anything,
but I'll pay for
I'll
it.
pay for it. And I was like, so many. And he loves tangents. I was like, my God, Michael.
I know, it was really fun. But the verification, so they do a background check.
Yes.
But if you fail the background check, I found this out. So background checks are not required, but members can request one in order to have a verified badge on their profile. The following can cause a user to fail a background check: registered sex offender, sex crimes, violent crimes, domestic violence, felonious and misdemeanor assaults. A failed background check does not result in the removal of a profile. That's shocking. They will simply not receive a background verified profile badge. However, high-risk background failures will result in temporary suspension. The member in question will be contacted by the seeking arrangement misconduct team, where an established internal protocol will be followed to determine their membership standing. I was shocked. Like, you should just not be on this website if you fall into those categories.
To be fair, because they offer it, absolutely. But what other dating website makes you do a background verification?
That's very valid.
Yeah.
That's very valid.
So
They should. I think all of them should.
I think it was called a diamond member. You pay a lump sum up front and then you get all of these perks.
But if I was a girl on this website, you would not be getting a phone call or a message if you were not verified,
especially your background.
Yeah.
Yes. The income, if you put listen,
just because the mentality of men going into this, and this goes into self-worth, going into such an arrangement, I'm not talking about everyone, guys. They might go in not respecting women in the first place.
Oh, yeah, like we talked about.
Yeah. So I would want a guy having a background check verified, just so I know that he's not a monster. That's not to say that he's not going to do anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, men on dating apps,
I think there's a risk. Yeah,
there's always a risk.
There's always a risk.
There's a risk going out in Miami.
I think the higher risk for this particular website, is there's already an exchange of money implied. That's the bigger risk, is people who, I mean, look at what's happening in the news right now with a very powerful, prominent singer rapper. Okay.
Yeah.
Did not need to do any of the things that he did because he had the
Allegedly.
means to do whatever he wanted, allegedly. And allegedly chose to take advantage of such power and money that he had and do whatever he wanted, allegedly.
Yeah.
Right? I think because the premise of this website, and it all takes reading the profiles too. It's just like any other dating website. There's nothing different that I've seen so far. You're still going to get creepers just like you would on any other dating website. You're going to get people who are like, did you even look at the photos of me? Like, okay. But at least I know I'm expensive. And on this site, there's a higher likelihood that connecting with somebody who knows that maybe I'm just after like more of a business transaction in dating, because the love bombing and the connecting with somebody on regular dating sites and then like, oh, she expected me to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, well then go on this website because the expectation is already set in the beginning. Not saying that should I go on dates with any of these men from this website that it's I'm going to sleep with them because they're doing something for me. That's not what it is. It's more, okay, let's see a different dating website perspective. As an older person, I'm very solid in who I am. And for me, it might be better because it's not emotionally driven up front.
All right. So can we go into the profile that I was like, maybe this is actually a good idea for you to use as a dating app, not a seeking arrangement app, but dating only. Because there were some really good looking men and women and couples. Like there's a whole like spectrum of people that are using this website. And we came across this one guy and I was like, age appropriate. And his profile, it wasn't so much of I'm looking for this and this and this as like a sex thing. He was like, I don't like to plan, but I love to provide. And he also mentioned that even though he's looking for casual fun, he would love for something to turn into something more. Right. And I think we saw a couple of those.
We did. And we also saw a couple of couples as well, which was interesting to me. And again, I urge any woman who is maybe getting to the point where the dating apps are just like swiping right constantly. I set this profile up last night. I have 17 messages already.
Wow.
In the Miami, Florida area. Have I gone through any of them? Not yet. I glanced at them quickly before this, but there's a couple of people, maybe out of the 17, there's like 10 already eliminated just based on their profile picture, or if they don't have a profile picture, I'm not doing it. Yes. So I would say like maybe 3 guys on there, and we'll have to see what they ended up saying to me. That's a huge result after one night.
I also think because from what we saw, the profiles are so specific and like macro to like
details.
How she says itty bitty details.
Yes.
That is actually good for us. A lot of information from the start. You're getting like everything's on the table, right? You don't have to go into like these games of like, do we like each other or whatever. You know what they're looking for. And if it's not for you, like you go to next. But there are some things that I was reading. I was like, oh, this is perfect for you, Tessa. And just go looking.
Right.
It's appropriate.
And two of the messages that I haven't read yet, can't remember if they were automatic denials or not. They immediately say, I read through your profile. Like the picture's going to capture them. Trust me.
They're different. Yeah, it was a good profile back.
Yeah.
I just think it's a different caliber and I think it's a different mindset.
It's a different mindset because I think it's somebody like ourselves who are driven and successful and ambitious and kind of done with the minutia of the swiping right, swiping left.
Yeah, but if you're going into a business agreement, you're going to read every word.
You're going to read every word. Yeah. Right. And not only that, but it's almost, remember when Match.com was really, really
Oh my God,
good?
the 100 questions.
Yes. It was used to be really
I didn't
good.
do it, but I heard about it.
No, my girlfriend actually met her ex-husband through Match.com.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I feel like it gives you Match.com vibes, except it is more of and the guys are so transparent on there. I know there's some guys on other dating websites, but I swear to God, if I read one more thing that says I'm fluent in sarcasm, I'm going to fucking lose my mind. Like,
She's not laughing anymore.
no. That's the new fish photo is I'm fluent in sarcasm.
Yeah, no.
I'm not going to laugh.
I just didn't like to, I was just done swiping. And then it just became a game to me at one point. I was just like, I'm bored. I'm going to just swipe.
Well,
and then our friend Leah, she lives in Dallas. And she sends me her daily dating app profile pic. That's like the worst of the worst. I mean, they're tragic.
They are.
And I was like, do you really think that you're going to find a date?
Right. And the men, I'm telling you right now, it's like any other app where you're like, ugh. But there are some extremely, extremely attractive men on Seeking. It's actually.
And they're more age appropriate.
Very age appropriate.
Than it is for an 18-year-old, to be fair.
You can see exactly what they're looking for. Now, there's a caveat to this, and we don't know where the data goes towards. However, this is something for anyone who decides to take a chance on this. Obviously, be safe on anything you're doing. This is not us promoting. It's just a conversation.
No, we are not promoting this website at all.
No. 40% is the statistic of people who are married that use the website. Now, as we mentioned, we saw people who were couples
we don't know
the website.
Yeah.
We don't know what that includes. We don't know if they went through background checks and verifications and it popped up that 40% were married, or if it's 40% of couples sign up together, or it's a mixture of the both. But that's a very high amount.
I thought it was high.
It's almost 50% of the site. Another thing too is you choose what you want your profile to say. So one of the things that I selected for myself was active and another one was true love. So people know that it's like, I'm using this as a dating website.
Yeah.
I'm not on here to just to have somebody pay me for no reason. But I'm at the point where I'm like, I would rather do it this way, knowing that I'm more than likely reading their profile saying they want to travel or they want to go to a nice dinner. We might go on dates with people. We don't know yet. For me, it's a hit or miss with that one.
By the way, if she does go on these dates, I will be at the same restaurant in the back watching her, clocking everything.
And having...
We're going to make sure she's safe.
Absolutely. And you should. And that's another thing actually on the safety aspect because of the context and what we're talking about today. Anytime that you are ever going on a date, I know that we don't need to say this, so hopefully you already know, please ensure that at least one person has your location. They have a photo of the guy.
She gets
they know where you're going.
Everything.
Yes. And
she
it's
knows
a
where I'm
check.
going.
Yeah.
She knows the full name, the number. She knows everything.
And what I don't know, I will find.
You just have to be safe. And, you know, I know that our demographic is predominantly males.
Yes.
So you're probably like, what is this episode? But we do have the same women from like the 35 to 45 demographic. And if you have children and you did not know about this, like now you know.
Yeah.
And if you are in the 20s and you are on this website, we just want you to be safe and to have a clear understanding of what could happen. You are obviously an adult. You do whatever you want.
Right.
We're not telling you what to do.
You know what's funny though? I just thought of like a little tidbit.
But if you were my little like niece, I'd be like, no, you get your ass home.
Right. Not happening. Not happening. Extracurriculars are great on college applications. This is not including one of them. Okay. Do your own studying. It's fine. I think one of the things that's interesting on one of the profiles that we read was this guy was like, I'm actually 5'11", so please don't lie about your age. So I'm curious to know if any of our listeners want to know about this website, Seeking in general, not the Sugar Baby University. That's not something that I'm interested in really knowing a whole lot more about. It honestly makes me extremely uncomfortable. I'm curious to know, because I've never lied about my age on a dating app.
No.
I didn't know that was a thing. This is also new for us, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just curious for dating apps in general. It does not have to be specifically about this, but we should do a topic on that. What have you lied about on your dating app?
Nothing. Yeah.
You know, my favorite thing about Seeking was filling out my profile last night. It asked if I was if I had a W-2, and I was like, not currently. It actually didn't ask at all. And on the other dating app sites, her websites, it's like, what do you do for work? It's none of your fucking business what I do for work.
This specifically asks if you have a W-2.
This specifically does not ask you what you do for work. It doesn't even care.
It doesn't care.
As a sugar baby. Now, after we looked up the statistics of like how much people make, to be fair, I would probably need to be like a sugar mama or a cougar or whatever they're called.
I won't let you do that.
No, obviously I would never. It's just an interesting perspective on dating. So I think as an older adult who is busy, who is successful, this actually might be a really great platform to meet like-minded people where you go in with no bullshit, because I'm a no bullshit person. And where I've always found myself getting into hot water for me is really the love bombing in the beginning, where the love bombing is not going to happen because it's not going to be this made up fantasy in my head. It truly is a business transaction.
And I will say this, it's not just guys seeking out women.
It's both.
It's women seeking out men too. So it goes both ways. It's just, I'm a female.
Okay. She's a female, and we know men. Her dad's a man, if you guys didn't know.
You're making fun of my blooper the other day.
It'll forever be my favorite.
Perspective, right? That's just what I know. I don't think I know any women that would be on this website seeking out a younger man paying for shit.
No. Even didn't matter how successful they were, to be fair.
Yeah.
I don't think it mattered. And on that note, right? Be safe.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what app you're on, what you're doing. This is obviously our opinion.
It's a thing. Mm-hmm. It's on college campuses.
Yeah.
It's a normal thing, according to the research that I found. I was shocked. I had no idea
that this
is a thing. So if you're a mom and your kids are going to college, have a discussion, make sure they're safe. And if you're 20 something living your best life, just be safe. And I would, be open to your friends that, what you're doing so they can do welfare checks on you.
Yeah, absolutely. Always have one person who's your in case of an emergency, especially if you're not directly living next to a really large support system.
Yes.
There has to be one in each city. I have multiple. They're just across the U.S., depending on where I land.
Yes. So to do all the things.
You got to experience everything. And
you don't have to experience everything.
Do what you're comfortable with.
Yes.
Be safe.
Yes. But I'm excited for this chapter in your life. Maybe we'll get updates on the podcast.
Yes, we're going to get updates. We're going to try it out for a minute. Why not?
So the Carpe Diem is dedicated to you.
Yes.
Carpe Diem, bitches. Oh, I forgot.
Oh, you forgot this time.
No.
Thank you for watching this episode of Karaoke Wine. Please like and subscribe.